Krishna Krishna. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mayi Ki Jai Jamuna Mayi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, and welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Friday, November 29th, 2024 in New York. And tonight we're starting with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 8, text number 20, if I'm not mistaken. I'll mute something here, please forgive me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Queen Suniti is speaking here to her son Dhruva Maharaj. Yasyangri Padmang Puricharya Vishva Vibhavanayata Guna Bipate Ajodhyatishtat Khalu Paramishtyang Padang Jitatma Shvasuna Vivandyam. Suniti continued, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so great that simply by worshipping his lotus feet, your great-grandfather Lord Brahma acquired the necessary qualifications to create this universe. Although he is unborn and is the chief of all living creatures, he is situated in that exalted post because of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom even great yogis worship by controlling the mind and regulating the life air, prana. Suniti cited the example of Lord Brahma, who was Dhruva Maharaj's great-grandfather. Although Lord Brahma is also a living being, by his penance and austerity, he acquired the exalted position of creator of this universe by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. To become successful in any attempt, one not only has to undergo severe penances and austerities, but also must be dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This indication had been given to Dhruva Maharaj, stepmother, and was now confirmed by his own mother, Suniti. Om Jnanati Mirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So previously we were hearing how Suniti was trying to give her son some uplifting instructions that might take him out of his depressed condition after being thrown off the lap of his father and not even allowed to get on it in the first place. And Suniti herself was feeling very despondent, like a burnt leaf in a forest fire, not knowing what to say. She started giving him the best advice that you should worship the Supreme Lord, no matter what your desire. Akama sarvakama va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogeta yajeta purusham param. Whether you got all kinds of desires, no desires, or desire liberation, best thing is to really focus, become strong, tivra, in your worship of the Supreme Lord, because he's the bestower of all benedictions. He has all energies under his control. Here she's saying that even Lord Brahma, by worshiping the Lord, received the exalted position of creator of the universe. And Maharaj or others may correct me if I'm wrong in saying that this is an example. I'm trying to learn this term, kaimutya nyaya, what to speak of yourself. Lord Brahma, by performing austerities and satisfying the Lord, accepting himself as a dependent servant of the Lord, was able to get the most exalted post in the universe. And so you're upset because you can't sit on the lap of your father. No problem. Just follow this example of Lord Brahma and basically see what happens. I'm looking here to see what else. Oh, Prabhupada makes the point here that he says to become successful in any attempt, one not only has to undergo severe penances and austerities, but also must be dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When I read this, I can't help but think of his own life, his own personal example, Prabhupada's own personal example, that he was willing to perform severe penances and austerities for the sake of spreading Krishna consciousness far and wide. And also, he was certainly dependent on the Supreme Lord. He spoke many prayers and composed many prayers to the Lord, begging for his mercy, acknowledging himself as the completely dependent servant of the Lord. And at the same time, he was quite willing to undergo those the penances and austerities of which he speaks here. I would be happy to hear if Maharaj has something to say on this verse.
Thank you. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shamini Tinande Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatana. Yes, it is Kaimuchil. Nyaya. What to speak of you, even Brahma. Someone may say, well, Prabhupada says we have to be dependent on the mercy of the Lord. We know a lot of people who are not dependent, who don't depend on the mercy of the Lord, and they achieve tremendous success. They become CEOs and kings, what have you. So why do you say this? And one answer, of course, is that still their success is dependent on the Lord. And another answer is that no, even their success is a failure. They may be apparently successful, but their success is a product of the illusory energy. What looks like success to them is just failure in another set of clothes. So to become actually successful, one has to depend, but one must be dependent. That is, one must recognize one's dependence. We're already dependent, there's no question of that. But one must recognize one's dependence, and then one will be properly situated. And the example is there of Brahma. He performed penances, he performed austerities, but really his qualification was his dependence on the personality of God. And that's the situation. And I may be totally unqualified, but if I depend on the personality of Godhead, then whatever qualifications I might require can be provided. Tadami buddhi yogam tam yenamamu bihanti te. Whatever one needs. What is that also? Yoga kshema vahamya. Ananyas chintayanto maham yejana prayapasate. For one who's always engaged in the service of Krishna, Krishna can provide intelligence, Krishna can provide resources, men and money, Krishna can provide whatever it might be that's required. So all qualifications, all resources, all everything can be granted to a devotee who's fully dependent on the personality of Godhead. And of course, if it doesn't come, then the devotee still is a success because he's dependent on the personality of Godhead. That's the real success in life. Not that you got men and money and this, that, but that you were a sold out, surrendered servant of the personality of Godhead is the real success. So success or failure, you're a success. And materialist, success or failure, he's a failure. So in any case, it's indicated here, or Sriniti indicates that, yes, you have to depend on Krishna. You have to get the mercy of Krishna. Then everything can become possible. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also has a commentary here.
Yes, Maharaj, I'd be happy to read it if you don't mind. He says, and he's placing himself as giving subtext for the thoughts or words of Dhruva Maharaj. He says, "Will I enter the womb of that sinful woman by worshiping the Lord? She is such a vile creature." And now he's putting himself as speaking as his mother Suniti. "She is such a vile creature. Your father, her servant, is also vile and foolish. You can attain a position greater than that of Brahma. Therefore, quickly go from here and worship the Lord. Do not lament." This is explained in 4 verses. Brahma worshipped the feet of the Lord, who has accepted the position of controller of Sattva-gun for maintaining the universe. Feet that are adored by the yogis who have controlled their minds and pranas. Yeah, you can attain a position greater than that of Brahma. I had just a question or a comment. Perhaps Maharaj would care to comment further. The word here, gunabhipatehe, for acquiring the required qualifications. And I was appreciating so much what you were saying about how, you know, those qualifications can be granted by the grace of the Lord to the sincere aspirant. And the word required is supplied here. And it made me think of, again, Srila Prabhupada's example that in his early life, he aspired to become a benefactor of the Gaudiya Math himself and to support the preaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission in that way. But when he actually applied himself to that service on his own, Krishna gave him a different set of qualifications. He didn't, as Prabhupada would say of himself, Krishna made me a business failure. So the required qualifications was for Prabhupada himself to do the work, not to different from what he had in mind as his life track. And I feel that's so instructive that, you know, we may have our own idea of how we want to serve Krishna or can serve Krishna, but by this sold out service, one gets the required qualifications, what actually you need to do what you can actually do that Krishna actually wants from us.
Yeah, we appear to be failures sometimes, but Krishna is setting us up for something greater. How wonderful. Also, it's notable here, we didn't comment on it, but how did Brahma become successful? By worshiping the lotus feet of the Lord. What are the lotus feet of the Lord? They're the same feet worshipped by Jitatma, Svasana, Abhimanya. Jitatma's Svasana, by those who've controlled their life air. That means the yogis. The yogis go through so much trouble, and if the Lord desires, they may achieve mystic powers, or they may achieve this Vaikuntha. But actually, we don't have to do all of that. Of course, Jitatma, that's also the qualifications of the yogis. Jita Atma, they develop self-control. Jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samanita. So these are items of spiritual cultivation to control the mind, to control the senses. This is the yoga system. But finally, the devotees like Brahma, they may do these things. They do. They control the mind, they control the senses. But finally, the success comes from the Lord. The yogis are worship, the lotus feet of the Lord are worshipable even by the yogis. But the devotees surpass even the yogis. The examples there, Ambarish and Durvasa. Hare Krishna.
We have a few comments and questions in the chat from Praveen Prabhu. Daibam Charatra Panchamam. The fifth supersoul is the ultimate factor of action. Vijay Krishna Prabhu asks, Queen Suniti said to her son that if we cause pain to others, the same pain we will have to suffer. My question is it that if we cause pleasure to others, the same pleasure we will enjoy? Please, thank you, and Hare Krishna.
Yes, they're pious activities. They're cause pleasure to others or give benefit to others. You build, yes, you build tanks by this for the public welfare. Tanks means bathing ponds. You plant trees by the side of the road to give shelter, and people become pleased. Oh, it's so nice. We've got these trees for shade. We've got these ponds to bathe in. You give cows to the Brahmins become pleased. Oh, now we have cows. So by charity, by austerity, the Dhira Dhira Jana Priya. Of course, the Goswamis were dear to everyone because they were devotees, not because of their welfare work. So by performing welfare work, one pleases others, or by doing kind acts of kindness, one pleases others. And then, yes, that comes back to you. So you become rich, or you become good looking, or you become popular, or you become well educated, and Maishvarya Shuta Shivir. So yes, that comes back, but that's a burden. That's a burden. I have to come back to this material world to accept the results of my pious activities, which will ultimately be exhausted. So I'm not really making progress. But by devotional service, Shubha Shubha Palarevam Mokshase, Karma Bandhanai. By performing Krishna conscious activities, one becomes freed from both the inauspicious and the auspicious results of pious or impious activities. So that's better. Hare Krishna.
A question from Saraswati Mataji. Pranams Parampuja Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. The commentary by Sri Vishwanath Chakrabarti shows tinges of vengeance in Suniti/Dhruva to want to obtain that which is greater than anything anyone in that family had ever obtained.
Well, it doesn't exactly, commentary doesn't show vengeance, it shows contempt, or he's sort of taken her feeling of her admission, yes, it's true, your father doesn't consider me even his maidservant, and he's extended it a bit further, that when Dhruva says so, by pious activities, by worshiping the Lord, I'll be able to take birth in her womb. And she says, no, she's a vile creature. That's not vengeance. It's certainly a negative assessment, but it's not vengeful. And your father, because he's Priya Mrgeshu, he's a dancing dog in the hands of that woman. He's also vile and foolish. So forget them, or forget what their insults and so on. But you can get a better position. Forget the position you want to achieve. You can get a better position. You can get Brahma's position. So it's not vengeful. He's not. You can get back at your stepmother. You can cause pain to her. You can cause pain to your father. No, he doesn't. It's not vengeance. It's not vindictive. It's not. What's the word? Yeah. Anyway, it's not vengeful. But it does show a legitimately negative assessment of Suniti and her husband.
Raja Tata Prabhu writes, it is Suniti wanting the best outcome for her son.
Yes.
Tulsi Priya, your hand is up. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, obeisances Maharaj and all the devotees. I was a little surprised by this commentary, and then it kind of struck me that what Suniti is preaching is sort of more in line with the mood of Dhruva Maharaj, in the sense that he wants something better than his father. He wants something, he wants to surpass them. And then, as we know, when he gets it, he's lamenting because he's thinking it's paltry. It's not worth what it is. But he's not in the mood of devotional service at the beginning. So it's like, this is also the inspiration. A lot of times a good motivation to achieve something is anger or wanting to surpass someone else, a competitive sense. So I just thought, in Prabhupada's purport, she comes across more, yes, just worship the Lord, and she's very mild and not encouraging him in his ambition so much, in the sense of, he wants to I'll show you all kind of mood. So I thought it was interesting. I appreciated hearing that mood, because it seemed to coincide more with Dhruva's mood at first.
After all, this is a Kshatriya family. So Kshatriyas don't lie down and take it. If it's a Brahmin family, my dear boy, just be peaceful, just accept whatever comes, and take it for your with equanimity and so on. So that's the Brahminical spirit. Kshatriya spirit is, well, you can outdo them. You can surpass them. You can defeat them. You can get a better position than their position. That's the passionate mentality. And that's the Kshatriya mood, not to take it lying. We don't take this lying down. You're going to do this, then we're going to, if we don't retaliate, well, we'll just beat you at your own game. We'll do better. We'll surpass you. So yes, so that's, and I think you're sort of indicating that even if her mood is not like that, she's sort of, what's the word? Well, they say pacing, or mirroring, or reflecting his mood, and sort of going with his feelings. If you present something that's way out of sync with a person, how a person feels, it may not be accepted. But if you're in his mood, well, you're upset. Well, okay, here's what we can do. And later we find that Narad Muni's Brahminical suggestions are not very much pleasing to Dhruva Maharaj, because he has this Kshatriya bhav, Ishvara bhav. He wants to take charge. He wants to be on top. So, yes.
I have a question from Priti Purnamadabi Mataji. Dhruva Maharaj's mother is a great devotee of the Lord. To have such dependence upon the Lord, to send her 5-year-old son to the forest. For that age, the path must be that of Hatha Yoga, as she also mentions the path given by Narada Muni later when he met Dhruva Maharaj. Was Hatha Yoga devotional service of that age?
Yes, even yes, and Hatha Yoga is sort of usually the watered down, usually refers to the watered down modern version, but Ashtanga Yoga is the more perhaps full term, an eightfold path. So yes, it appears that in that age, such things, that is what Dhruva does. He performs severe austerities, follows the principles of the yoga system, and he did succeed. Yes, all of these things, it depends what you do with it. You can be like Hiranyakashipu and perform breath control and austerities and so on to be the biggest demon around, or you can perform the same activities with devotion for the personality of Godhead. So then that counts as devotional service.
Tulsi Priya Mataji writes, it may not be vengeful in terms of causing harm to Saruchi, but there is a saying, the best revenge is living well. Panchatattva Prabhu writes, Suniti, my dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others. Vijay Krishna Prabhu asks, what is the connection between worshipping the Lord and becoming free of envy?
Yes, by worshiping the Lord, one becomes free of all inauspicious qualities. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Mada, Moha, Matsarya. Yes. And as one becomes enlightened in Krishna consciousness, what do they have that we want to be envious of? Their material acquisitions are of no importance for the person who's engaged in the pure devotional service of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
And a comment from Panchatattva Prabhu. I was thinking that even though Narada Muni gives instructions on the practice of Ashtanga Yoga to Dhruva, he caps it off with instructing him to chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
That's the point. Narada Muni is not the authority on Ashtanga Yoga. That's not what he's known for. He's in the second canto, he's born from the heart of Brahma, and he represents devotional service. He travels around the universe teaching devotional service to the Lord. Ashtanga Yoga Patanjali takes of Narada Muni, and everyone knows bhakti.
Comment from Praveen Prabhu. Sana bilasi tapasi stito ham tvam praptavan deva munindra guyam kacham vichinvan api divyaratnam svamin darto smi varamna yache. O my Lord, because I was seeking an opulent material position, I was performing severe types of penance and austerity. Now I have gotten you, who are very difficult for the great demigods, saintly persons, and kings to attain. I was searching after a piece of glass, but instead I have found the most valuable jewel. Therefore, I am so satisfied that I do not wish to ask any benediction from you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments here before we move on to our text 21? I was going to see whether Panchatattva Prabhu is available to read that and offer some commentary. Text 21.
I'm going to try. My mouth is still a little wonky. Text 21. Pitamanurvo Bhagavan Pitamaho Imekamatya Purudakshinarmakai Ishvabhipede Durbhapamanyato Baumam Sukham Divyam Atapavagyam. Suniti informed her son, your grandfather, Swayambhuva Manu, executed great sacrifices with distribution of charity, and thereby with unflinching faith and devotion, he worshipped and satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By acting in that way, he achieved the greatest success in material happiness and afterwards achieved liberation, which is impossible to obtain by worshiping the demigods. Purport. The success of one's life is measured by one's material happiness in this life and liberation in the next. Such success can be achieved only by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The words eka matya mean controlling one's mind on the Lord without deviation. This process of undeviating worship of the Supreme Lord is also expressed in Bhagavad Gita as ananya bhak, that which is impossible to obtain from any other source, is also mentioned here. Other source refers to worship of the demigods. It is especially stressed here that the opulence of Manu was due to his undeviating faithfulness in the transcendental service of the Lord. One who diverts his mind to worshiping many demigods to obtain material happiness is considered bereft of intelligence. If anyone wants even material happiness, he can worship the Supreme Lord without deviation, and persons who are desirous of liberation can also worship the Supreme Lord and achieve their goal of life. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutadeva Guridasa Jayadvaita Swami Niti Namine Om Ajnana Timarandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshumani Tam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Suniti is continuing to advise her son and giving examples from his own lineage. It's kind of, here are some family examples. Brahma, Swayambhuva Manu, your grandfather, they've engaged in this way, and they look at the success that they've achieved. And they achieve material happiness and afterwards achieve liberation. And it's interesting that Suniti's telling him this in this way and guarding him. Already she's putting guardrails for his path, for what he should consider. This is really good. This is really good instruction, because not only are you saying, this is what you should do, you're also reminding, by the way, don't go off in this direction. You know, there are lots of demigods that can be worshipped for material advancement. And if your inclination is to achieve a kingdom or wealth or some material prosperity, certainly people go in that direction. But that's not ultimately what you should do. It's not what your grandfather did. It's not what Lord Brahma did. And all of your desires will be fulfilled in a proper way
by worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So she's giving a marvelous set of instructions to her son. It's like, he may have been insulted by his stepmother, but his real asset is his mother, because she's giving him really excellent instructions here and pointing him on the path of ultimate spiritual success. In a sense, she's his first spiritual master, Hare Krishna. Guru Maharaj, would you like to say?
Yesterday, Vasudev Das and I were reading some commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bhagavad Gita. This verse is there quoted by Prabhupada, that at the time of dissolution, Lord Brahma and his associates are promoted to the spiritual world. So in that context, Chakravarti Thakur provides evidence that the devotee may directly go back to Godhead if he has no other desire, or he may be promoted first to the heavenly planets and then to the abode of Brahma, and then along with Brahma be liberated and go back home, back to Godhead. So that's mentioned also in the second canto, there's this direct route, or if we still have some interest in the material world, we can sightsee or work off our residual aspirations and then go back. So that's the advice. Well, even if you want some material thing, kama, sarva kama, even if you want some material thing, well, worship the personality of Godhead. You'll get that, and you'll get to go back to Godhead. The materialist who worships the demigods, he's foolish, because all he gets is what the demigods give him. And that also is temporary. But if the same people, if they would worship the personality of Godhead, they could fulfill their material desires and attain liberation. So who's intelligent, the demigod worshiper or the worshiper of Mukunda, the giver of liberation? That's indicated. Also, this foreshadows what actually happens. Dhruva Maharaj attains all material opulence. He attains essentially the wealth available in heaven. And he attains the abode of Brahma and goes back to God, or better than Brahma and goes back to Godhead. So her words are proven true. That yes, if you do this, this is what you can achieve. Ekamadhya, unflinching devotion, one-pointed intelligence. Ekeha Kurunanda. Or an Anyapak, as Prabhupada cites. No other interest. And Duravab, by this path of worshiping the personality of Godhead, your grandfather achieved something difficult to achieve. Anyata, Bhomam Sukha, Divyam Ata, Apavargyam. He achieved celestial happiness and he achieved Apavargyam by one-pointed attention, devotion to the faith in the personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
I have a question. Here it is said, Swayambhuva Manu achieved liberation. Does that mean, according to my understanding, I thought Swayambhuva Manu was still alive, or he has passed away? Can you explain? I didn't understand.
Swayambhuva, his time is long gone.
Oh, okay.
Swayambhuva means the first Manu. And now we're in the seventh Manu. So Swayambhuva's time is now
Oh, okay, so
long
when,
over.
so when the time goes, they die away, they are not alive and,
Well, I don't know
okay.
that, when your term is over as Swayambhuva, as Manu, then you die. But but in any case, he's no longer in office.
I have one question, George.
Hmm.
The first line of the purport was a bit confusing. Like the success of one's life is measured by one's material happiness in this life and liberation of next. Given our talk about success, the previous verse.
Success is measured by one's material happiness in life and liberation in the next. Yeah, well, you could say there are two different standards. The Vairagi who attains liberation or goes back to Godhead is successful, even if he didn't get material happiness or had no interest in material happiness. But you could say these are two measurements. What do you want? I want to be rich, famous, married to a beautiful girl, and powerful, and and I want to go back to God. And we say, well, wait a second, these are contradictory desires. But here it's indicated, yes, you can achieve both. If you just engage in devotional service is so powerful that you'll get all of your material aspirations fulfilled, and you may even attain liberation. Of course, as we'll find later, the one is something of an impediment to the other, or even if it's not an impediment, it delays things. That, all right, you get your material happiness, but suppose you really get it 10,000 years, 50,000 years, 100,000 years in the heavenly planets. And then you have to hang around in the material world 100,000 years to enjoy that material happiness. So it's something of a time waster. But you'll get there. You'll get there. Sometimes in your map program, you'll see alternative routes. And this one's 20 minutes faster, this one's 20 minutes slower. So you can take your choice. Either way, you're going to get there. But of course, if you take the 20 minutes slower route, all things being equal, you're foolish. Why waste time? So, but you'll get there. So those who engage in the service of the personality of Godhead, even if they take the slow route, well, first I want to enjoy material happiness, but if they're fixed in devotional service to the Lord, and they have faith that yes, Krishna Bhakti Sarva Karma Kritohoy, Krishna Bhakti Koilo Sarva Karma Kritohoy, that just by serving Krishna I can achieve everything. Then, yes, they'll get there. Even if they take they're slowed down by, well, yeah, I'd like to do some tourism in the material world first, or I'd like to be king for a while, or whatever. They'll achieve success, but better, as we find later, better to directly give up these other things and engage in the Krishna service. Someone said, no, I can't do that. I still have, I'm a passionate person. I have to have this or that. All right, but engage in devotional, just like householder life. Someone may criticize that, no, sannyas is the way. If you're serious, you'll give up all other interests. What is this? Family life, family happiness, women, children, and just engage in direct devotional service. Sannyas. And, yes, that's very nice, but not everyone is prepared to do that. That may not be acceptable for everyone. So then we don't say, oh, well, sorry, too bad, I'm going on to the next person because you're a lost cause. No, even if you take the family life and you have a wife and you have children and you have some position in society and money and so on, still, if you're ananyapak, if you're ekamatya, if you have ekamat, if you have one purpose, that I want to engage in Krishna's service, even though I may still want, I know I have some desires for family happiness or this or that, but still my ultimate goal is to be Krishna conscious. And even in family life, all right, it may be slower, or there may have to, deal with all these complexities of so-called family happiness. But still, I'll be able to achieve the lotus feet of Krishna. It's not a disqualification. No, if you become a householder, you'll never go back to God. Still.
Saraswati Mataji writes, Sunati understands her son's nature and his capabilities, so she gives him appropriate instructions that can give Dhruva the ultimate goal of life, pleasing Vishnu and depending on him alone. She has the confidence that Dhruva can achieve this.
Good teacher. Yes.
Dr. Tapaburu, your hand is up.
Just a couple of things. I made a comment that the genuine impersonalists are rigidly strict about avoidance of family life, etc., and therefore so many are excluded from spiritual life. You can't make any progress in that direction because there's this wall. Unless you are a total renunciant, materially speaking, there's no entrance. So there's that.
Yes. In the Shankara Sampradaya, first you take sannyas, then we'll talk about spiritual practice.
The other thing was that expression Ananyabhak, as far as I know, it appears in one place in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 9, verse 30. Apichet sudurachara bhajate mam Ananyabhak. I'm not trying to draw a direct line necessarily because Ananyabhak means without deviating. But it's interesting that it comes in a verse which talks about a person who may momentarily struggle, some difficulty falling, having some severely fallen activity. But if he's situated correctly, or she in their proper determination in devotional service, they're to be considered saintly. I thought that was interesting that choice of words came from a particular verse, which has sometimes been a point of controversy in contemporary ISKCON. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. This was the qualification, Ananyapak, that even though, and Chakravarti Thakur comments that, I'm the most vile person, I'm a disgrace to the Vaishnava society, but still I'm not going to go elsewhere. I'm not going to give up Krishna consciousness. So that's Ananyapak. That what else? What other Bhak comes from a root that means share. I would suppose it's related to Paj and Bhakti finally. So I'm not interested in a share that I think that maybe the word may also appear in the context of rituals. We heard about the demigods each getting their share of the sacrifice. So Ananyabhak, I don't care. I don't care about shares in Microsoft or shares in the results of sacrifice or anything else. The only thing that I want is my share is the privilege of being engaged in devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Kriti Purnamadavi Mataji asks, do scriptures mention?
the same word appears. What is that verse? That Dayapak. That Tate Kutunukampam Susamikshama. One who tolerates all adversities and goes on single-mindedly engaged in the service of Krishna, becomes eligible for going back to Godhead or eligible for liberation, because it's his rightful share. You know, in court apportions, they say, okay, this is his rightful share. He's entitled to this. So one is entitled to go back to Godhead if one is 100% surrendered to the personality of Godhead. He's well entitled. He's eligible. He has the adhikar. Entitled is no exact entitlement that Krishna has to say, all right, you ticked all these boxes, I'm taking you, but you're eligible. As Krishna, when Krishna pleases, you have all the necessary qualifications. You may not have this or that material qualification, but you're sold out to the personality of Godhead. You're eligible. And now it's just a question of time.
Pratipurna Madhavi Mataji writes, do scriptures mention the standard formula for successful life as dharma, artha, kama, moksha?
Yeah, that's the standard formula. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu adds prema pumartha. You're interested in dharma, artha, kama, moksha, as if moksha is the final thing. Yes, it's the final thing, but what is moksha? Muktir hitvanyata rupa. Svarupena vivastati. Real moksha means to be engaged. Give up one's false form and be engaged in one's eternal identity as the servant of Krishna. That's Pancham Purusha. These are the four things, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says ultimately there's the fifth, and that's the real goal.
Hare Krishna. Should I continue with the other questions and comments, or since we're getting to the final minutes here, what do you think?
I think we can continue. It's Friday night. People can drop off if they need to.
Okay.
But we do have some things there.
Praveen Prabhu writes, success equals material happiness plus spiritual perfection. So does every devotee get material happiness?
We discussed that. I won't comment further. We don't have time. We've covered that topic.
Saraswati Mataji writes, a devotee can be the worst, but they can pray to Krishna to still keep them under his personal care, so that when there is talk of the best devotees, then the worst devotee can be useful when he can be shown as the worst.
I don't think I get the logic there. The devotee can be the worst, but they can pray to Krishna to keep them under his personal care, yes. So that even when there is talk of the best devotees, then the worst devotee can be useful when he can be shown as the worst.
Devotees of the best devotee.
I guess that is that Kaimucha Nyaya again, that you can be the best because you can't be the best unless there's some that are under you. I'm not quite sure the logic though, because you don't need the Sudaracharis to look good. So I'm not sure the logic there.
Tulsi Priya Mataji writes, you mean you can be the negative example? Who would say any devotee is the worst?
So, inconclusive there.
Maybe inconclusive there, but we can conclude with some kirtan. was going to see if Rakesh Prabhu wants to lead Kirtan, or if you can have a group there, Maharaj.
We have Rakesh and I'll leave them.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajaka Ashtottara Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivad Shadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Maharaj. And thank you, Rakesh Prabhu, for the kirtan. And thank you, everyone, for being here for Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Panchatattva Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you to all.
Hare Krishna Gurudev.
Hare Krishna Krishna Kante. Jai.